All right, everyone. My name is Kimberly Nicole Evans. I am the CEO of Beck Evans and Associates, and I have been the individual that's been causing the stir on LinkedIn in regards to Black Americans and our boycotts of big box stores like Target and Walmart. And I told everyone that I would be coming back to you with suggestions in regards to what can be done instead of boycotting big box retailers. So today we're going to be talking about beyond the boycott, reclaiming our power without walking away, and what are the alternatives for Black America in regards to how we strategically place ourselves on big box shelves. So I want to start off before I get into speaking on any alternatives. I want to tell a story. And what I find, especially with today's entrepreneurs, a lot of our younger entrepreneurs in the CPG space, they are not really aware of the history of consumer price goods and the multiple ways that they can actually achieve profitability with their product, have a successful exit without having to get on a big box shelf. It's great if you can make it to the shelves of Target. It's great if you can make it to the shelves of Walmart or whomever, wherever it is that you want to be. But that's not the only way that you can get there. And oftentimes, when I say get there to profitability, get to creating wealth, get to the point where you can have an exit of your creation of your product, which really should be the end game, and not to die at your desk selling your product, or barely break even, or continue to struggle and go through the course of your business always needing the next pitch or the next grant or something in order to keep you on the shelves. That is not how a for-profit is supposed to run. You should be able to generate adequate cash flow to be able to support your lifestyle, your business, your employees, offer them all of the benefits that an employee would have, in addition to building a business that you can someday have some type of succession planning, whether that is through an IPO, an acquisition, some type of seller type transaction that allows you to be able to have a liquidity event and be able to collect cash or whatever the currency is that's in your home country, so that you can be able to create the type of wealth that you want from the work that you're putting in. I want to start off by just telling a story of a product that, depending upon your age, you may not even remember this product, but it was called Proactive acne medication. And I just want to start off by telling the story of Proactive. And you can look this up. You can even use your AI to do the research on a case study. But in the mid 1990s, two dermatologists, Dr. Katie Rodin and Dr. Katie Fields, actually developed a solution to a problem millions of people silently struggle with, which was acne. I mean, at some point, most of us will have some type of bout with acne. Rather than pushing their product through the traditional medical or retail channels, they chose a direct-to-consumer approach, something revolutionary for the skincare industry at that time. Their creation was the Proactive solution. I actually subscribed to it. And not only was it direct to consumer, it was one of the very first subscription models. This was well before the internet and social media and things of that nature. But here's the twist. Instead of selling through doctors and drugstores, they told a story. They told a story, and they put a face to their product. And they launched infomercials. This was before Instagram and TikTok. And then they utilized media formats, blending testimonials of individuals who actually used the product. They went out and got celebrities to endorse the product. Everybody from Jessica Simpson to, Katy Perry were sharing stories about their battles with acne. The message was simple, right? Proactive work for them, so therefore it can work for you. The brand didn't just sell a product, it sold transformation, confidence, control, and it worked. Proactive became the #1 acne brand in America, generated well over $1 billion in revenue, and they used the subscription model to ensure recurring revenue and customer loyalty. And they paved the way for other beauty brands. And I am still just shocked at how many entrepreneurs bypass something as simple as a direct-to-consumer model just to be able to go and sit on the shelves of some big box retailer. First of all, it costs a lot of money that you have to put up front in order to be able to manufacture enough product to be able to deliver to these big box manufacturers. When you go direct sales, direct to customer, direct to the client, and especially when you get them on the point where they're on a subscription, where they're buying your product, if you have the type of product that can be bought over and over, this is especially for individuals selling makeup and skincare and things of that nature, shampoos, things that people have to use and reuse over and over again. You should have individuals on some type of subscription model first and bypass the big box retailers. Number one, your end user is paying you for the product before they even get it. They have to pay for the product before it even ships. Unlike with the big box retailers, you're paying to ship it, to sit it on their shelves, and it sits there until it sells. And if it doesn't sell, they actually put it back in a box. They send it back to you, and you have to pay for the freight to get it back. And so there are any number of ways, and I just wanted to bring up Proactive for the simple fact that it was something that worked back in the 90s. And this was prior to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook on a broad scale. Imagine what you can do in order to move your product and to create a following in a community if you follow their simple model of infomercials and then transferred it over to social media. That being said, one of the things that we absolutely have to start looking at, instead of wanting to immediately put our products on the shelves, and by the way, direct to consumer still works, whether you're selling pots and pans or razors. A Dollar Shave Club is a perfect example of that. So we definitely want to be able to explore other opportunities before we put all of our marbles, so to speak, in one place, or place all of your ability to earn revenue with one means, with one channel, and that being big box retail. So let's look at some other ways that we can also start to work within our communities and also work cooperatively with these big box retailers. There's no question that economic power is one of the most effective levers of influence. But the question that we must now ask ourselves is, are we using our economic voice to build or just to react? Calls to boycott major retailers often arise when there's some type of shift in stance that goes against whether it's DE&I representation or any type of cultural engagement that specifically Black Americans don't agree with. Some Black Americans, not all. And while frustration is absolutely valid, and I support any and every opinion around this issue, especially when communities feel as if they've been sidelined, reaction alone is not the strategy. Especially an emotional reaction is not the strategy. If the goal is true empowerment, and I question that, and I ask that again, if the goal, G-O-L, goal is true empowerment, we must think beyond boycotts and start thinking in terms of economic positioning, ownership, and long-term leverage. I asked in a prior post on LinkedIn, what's the end game? I don't understand the end game from these voices that are out there saying that Black Americans should be boycotting these big box retailers. In exchange for what? What is the end game? You may not be buying that particular product on that shelf, which is going to hurt the Black businesses that are selling through that particular retailer, but you still have to buy other household goods. So you're going to end up spending money at a big box retailer one way or the other, unless you plan on making your own vacuums and your own furniture and your own everything. You're still going to have to spend with a big box retailer. So I don't understand the end game. So that's number one. We definitely have to be able to build and support independent distribution channels and direct to consumer. And I told the story of Proactive for a reason. Independent distribution channels don't always have to be majorly expensive. They don't always have to be hundreds of millions or billions of dollars of money put into building a pipeline or an infrastructure or different channels. Often what happens is when these reactions are put forth, and the first thing that comes to mind is that we're going to boycott these retailers. If anything, it shows a weakness. It shows the lack of creativity. It shows a lack of having a substitute at all. It shows oftentimes this desperation. So in individuals wanting to compare it to the Montgomery boycotts, there is absolutely no comparison about what's happening now with these big box retailers and what happened with the Montgomery boycotts. That was months of planning that had an end game in mind. They started at the end and worked their way back to getting the results that they wanted. That's why it was so successful. So we absolutely have to be able to establish that creativity. Group purchasing, yes, we can buy direct from these consumers. We can buy direct from them. We can establish ways that we can only buy from Black-owned stores. Great, wonderful. That is all of the things that individuals, if that's what you want to do, you can do. But again, I don't believe that it is absolutely necessary in order to be able to separate yourselves just to be able to move forward. You can move forward on a larger scale just by having a different plan when you go to the table. How about we look to partner strategically and not emotionally? True economic power requires us to show up with a vision. Requires us to show up with a vision rather than withdrawing. Once you remove yourself from the table, you absolutely no longer have any ground or little ground to be able to negotiate. And you must be able to have a plan whereby you can circulate wealth with intention. You want to be able to circulate wealth with intention. One of the things that we do at Beck Evans and Associates is absolutely work with our clients when it comes to strategic planning, and as well as, above all, financial risk management. Many of the problems with so many of our CPG entrepreneurs is that they simply don't have the cash flow to keep producing. And in order for you to be able to do that, it's going to be a combination of things, debt and equity. You have to be able to create a capital structure. But above all, you have to be able to create cash flow. And there's a way, and there are ways to be able to create cash flow without having to put your product on the shelf at one of these big box retailers. I don't even care if it's Sephora or Ulta or whoever it may be. I understand that Fenty is doing well, and I am so happy for Rihanna. But most entrepreneurs don't start off with Rihanna kind of money. Rihanna had millions of dollars and millions of followers to be able to launch her brand, which not only is it a great product, but she started with a wonderful, wonderful financial foundation as well as a huge following. Most entrepreneurs don't have that type of money to get started. Therefore, to put yourself in a position whereby you're trying to compete with someone dollar for dollar and you don't have those means, it's not going to work out too well for you. And you don't want to continue to struggle. So as we are looking at opportunities to move forward, I want us to just be able to think outside of the box. Partnership is power. When we lead the terms, partnership is power. There's nothing wrong with collaboration. Absolutely nothing wrong with collaboration. The problem is when we approach these corporations with our hands out instead of our vision forward. And I want to say something, and it may rub people the wrong way. Target doesn't have to do anything. Walmart doesn't have to do anything. They're doing things that are financially good for them and their stockholders and their stakeholders. And not only that, just the community. And I want us to also think in terms of all of the individuals that work at these stores that are Black people, as well as people of color, as well as all of the individuals who are in the smaller towns. They may not live in a bigger city. Some of you may not even be aware of the fact that Walmart wasn't always in urban cities. They started off in small town America, which is where a lot of Black people still live. They don't have a choice that a lot of you have living in the cities, whether to go here or go there. They typically only have one or two retailers in their town. And so these are also things that have to keep in mind, that not everybody lives in an urban setting whereby they have a multitude of other choices to go out and be able to purchase the things that they need. But instead of walking away when things don't go our way, what if we walked into the room differently? Instead of walking away, what if we walked into the room differently? What if we showed up with proposals, with plans to co-create brand campaigns that highlight our products in ways that will have more and more of us actually buying the products off the shelf? That will incentivize the stores to add more room for Black products, CPG products on the shelves, and not less, which is what a boycott is actually creating. The long-term effects of this type of behavior goes well beyond today. And again, what is the end game? With ideas to incubate other brands and pull up other or smaller brands, to give them training, funding, and logistics so that they can grow and thrive within a national retail chain, right? What if we were to look at this from a perspective of, hey, this has happened, but we can stay at the table, we can negotiate, we can even look at ways to be able to increase the shelf space and increase the number of products that are on the shelves. Our conversations can't be reduced to just public statements and commercial campaigns. The real question is always about opportunity and who gets to be seen, funded, stocked, and scaled. Seen, funded, stocked, and scaled. We should be asking, how are decisions being made about national brands and the exposure? We should be asking about planning meetings around products and expansions of those products. Whose products are selected for the end caps? Holiday features, seasonal pushes, seasonal campaigns, seasonal pushes, seasonal campaigns. These are not emotional questions. These are strategic ones. And if we're going to participate in this, in the systems that we have here in the United States of America, a capitalistic system, then we must do so with clarity, asking for numbers and not narratives, right? This isn't about begging to be included. It's about negotiating for access where our presence already adds value. We're already on the shelf, people. Why do things to jeopardize getting off the shelf? And then you're setting up a negative situation for anyone who could be coming afterwards. If I were a retailer and the stockholders and the stakeholders, and I saw a group of people on hold as a risk to my business, I would not go out my way to open my hands and welcome you through my front door, knowing that as soon as I don't set the table right or the temperature in the room is not quite to your liking, you're going to do something that could potentially jeopardize or damage my business. It just doesn't make good sense long term to stay on this track. What we do matters. What we do now matters more than walking away. Boycotting to make headlines. And when I look at the people who are leading this charge, they're all media types. They're having a good time, getting likes, having all types of people tune in to their radio shows or their stations. Oh, by the way, they make more money. The more people tune into their stations, they can charge their advertisers more money. These people aren't strategists. They aren't business leaders. They're entertainment types, and they are doing what they're supposed to do, entertain. Walking away may make us feel good for the moment, but staying with purpose, negotiating with strength, and building from the inside out has lasting staying power. That's how we build something that endures. And if you're going to encourage people to walk away, I just ask for those voices out there. I don't care whether they're in a pulpit or wherever they may be. If you are going to require or ask people or have the fluence to tell people to walk away from something, you should also have the responsibility and accountability of having a plan. And if your plan is only to buy direct or to buy from some other black-owned platform, which you probably invested in, so be it. But you should also have more than lip service. You should be putting investments, your money, and not your congregation's money or not your viewers' money into those platforms. You should be investing in it. You should be opening channels. We have to stop thinking in short terms. We have to stop being led by people who absolutely have no interest but a great following and a big mouth. We have to be able to think strategically long term. And please stop comparing this boycott to what our ancestors and forefathers did in the 50s and 60s. This is 2025. We have different tools, not to mention all of these PhDs and MBAs that we hold. You should be able to come up with a better strategy other than using the same tactics people did back in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s. So read my article. There's some good information in there. Do the homework. Look at case studies. Look at other ways that you can move your product without having to go to these big box retailers. They are great. They are wonderful for your business, but they're not the only way. And oftentimes they're the most expensive way to be able to move your product to the end user. The name of the game in business is to sell with the greatest amount of margin so that you can maintain more of your profits for your company, not share and split your profits with somebody else. So just think about it. Utilize everything that we have in order to be able to move forward. We're not here just to be consumers. We're here to participate in the entire supply chain, from sourcing to warehousing to distribution and beyond. So think about it in those terms. So, hey, everybody, nothing but peace, love, and soul. I wish everyone success. I respect everyone's opinion around this matter. I just ask that we start to look at the potential and the possibility and reframing our attitude and our mindset around our position and place when it comes to Black entrepreneurs and our products and big box retailers and our relationships with our end users. Peace out.